This is a free sample of the book, The Road to Wrinkled Bedsheets by Cairo Copeland. The first half of this book is posted right here on YouTube, free for everyone to listen to. If you like this content and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/bedsheets. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/bedsheets.
Chapter 3. Why Women Have Sex. Women need a reason to have sex, whereas men just need a place. It's important to understand the female mind when it comes to what motivates them to have sex. Many books on the subject of getting laid will focus mainly on tactics, but spend very little time on this matter. What need is a woman looking to have fulfilled by having sex? A man that can recognize that and act accordingly to it needs very little knowledge of tactics on how to get it. We are not seeking to trick women into having sex. We're only seeking to give them the sex they've already decided they want to have. For males, sexual motives are far less complex. It's a biological imperative for us, and there's very little aftercosts for us because we can't get pregnant. But since women can, the cost of solving the reproductive problem is a greater burden to bear, which is why the woman is the more picky of the two. Arousal. Being turned on by a male is only one factor. The black pill guys that think it's all about looks, the looks maxers, attribute everything to this. While it is true that looks matter, they aren't all that matter. Female arousal can be brought on by other things like scent, body, face, voice, haptics, personality, and humor. The way you smell affects her decision because it supplies her with cues to your genetic compatibility. But don't get the wrong idea. She's not consciously thinking about this. There are things that occur at the cellular and hormonal level, such as receptivity to heterozygosity and histocompatibility complex, which are thought to yield offspring with immune systems capable of guarding against a wide array of pathogens. A deeper voice is indicative of more testosterone. Something every guy can work on is making his voice sound deeper by speaking from the windpipes in his chest as opposed to just from his throat. But an even better way to achieve this is to actually increase your own testosterone by working out. A fit body is not all that's able to arouse her. Elegant movement, interesting personality, and sense of humor function as fitness indicators. A mouthful of pearly whites does the trick as well, because good teeth is a status symbol from the millennial generation on down, because most of them were raised on sodas and vapes that destroyed their tooth enamel. The more obvious things, a V-shaped torso with a high shoulder-to-hip ratio, is carried over from the caveman days. It signaled good hunting and protection ability in the ancestral environment. Symmetry, especially in the face, provides cues about a mate's genetic quality and developmental stability. These are not things she's consciously evaluating. Evolution has just programmed her to look for them without her realizing it. In 1979, Weatherhead and Robertson coined these findings to be the sexy sons hypothesis. A woman wants her children to succeed in life, and if those children were boys, they'd be far more successful in life if they were good-looking, because the world has a beauty bias. Physical gratification. The sheer pleasure of the act is another obvious element that motivates women, but it is a very weak motivator for most of them. After all, women are the only creature on earth not in the mood for sex, despite the fact that it feels so good. There's so much more to the story than that, though. It's not so much that she's not in the mood to feel good, it's more like her male mate doesn't make her feel as good as he used to. Further, the pleasure element is not enough because many women find themselves unable to climax during sex. The finish is either rare or not present at all in their sex lives. The female orgasm is still a mystery in biology because it doesn't serve a functional purpose like the male orgasm does. A theory surrounding it is that it's something women adapt to doing and a way for her body to reinforce mating with a quality male. That suggests the idea that if you can't make her come, you're not a quality male. This is a myth that needs to be shattered. The ability or inability of a woman to experience a climax has nothing to do with physiology or mate quality. Women that have trouble with it often have that problem because they were not taught how to achieve it. Much of this is brought on by social imperatives that women should be ladylike, and touching themselves is not ladylike. Because so many women that had trouble climaxing were able to experience it as often as they wanted to once they learned how best to touch themselves. More evidence of this is seen in cultural geography. Regions and cultures that celebrate sex have more instances of women experiencing climaxes than cultures that suppress it. Emotional connection. In the book, How to Talk to Nines and Tens, it was stressed how important it is to make an emotional connection with her. Combining intimacy, passion, and dedicated approval all make up the dream boyfriend she thinks will make her happy long term. In reality, she gets sick of that sweet romantic guy after a while, but the man that can give her interspersed samples of this inspire her to give out more sex. She sees it as long-term commitment insurance for her pair bond. When she's in love, sex is even a transcendental experience. Throughout much of their youth, they have the fantasy that her prom night cherry pop will be the most beautiful, perfect thing ever. Really, it ends up just being awkward and sometimes painful, but they continue with that fantasy throughout much of their 20s. Competition anxiety. Some will thrive on the thrill of the hunt when it feels like a competition in the mating market. Women may even put out just to give themselves an edge over their competitors who have their eyes on the same mate. Other times, it could be a matter of revenge or mate poaching. More so, it's that they'd rather steal quality males away than settle for low-quality ones. How can a woman who's a 6 get the same caliber of man as a woman who's a 9 if she puts out faster? Or so she thinks. This also provides more reason for female outrage at pornography, as it sets high the standards for which males will appraise them. Often conflict-adverse, women will suffer from competition anxiety, and to ensure that they have a strong performance in that contest, they will make themselves more pleasing and appealing to the man she set her sights on. That's why I say when you're in a relationship and want to keep that relationship a pleasant one that you enjoy, your best move is to inspire anxiety in her. Make her believe that she could easily lose you at any moment. Which brings me to mate guarding. When women are economically dependent on a man that could trade up from them, they use sex to remind him of what he stands to lose should he defect. They may be putting out just to keep his mind off other women. Transactional receipt. In long-term relationships and marriages, a motive for it is duty or transactional exchange. This is the absolute worst kind of sex to have. It happens firstly because males in relationships desire sex more than the woman in the relationship, so she may have it only to fulfill a wifely duty. But make no mistake, this will be the dispassionate starfish sex that no man enjoys. Mistakenly, many males will forego mating opportunities with other women to be in committed relationships with one to have sexual access. It's a big part of why I preach so strongly that you should not get married, which is a subject beyond the scope of this book. When one woman becomes your sole source of female intimacy, she may use and abuse that power to extract things from you. These do not have to be material things, but rather favors, agreement to things you'd otherwise protest, and your overall submission. They could also be actions like washing the dishes, cooking dinner, and doing laundry. There's even a name for this. Chore play. The fact that you have to do these things to earn sex you should be regularly getting just from desire makes it a relationship you should want no part of. At the root of this kind of sex, it is driven by guilt. The imbalance between males and females is not just in sexual desire, but also in fantasies. Males will think about it roughly 5 times per day. Females, on the other hand, may think about it only 3 times per month, usually in congruence with ovulatory shift. That's just a side effect of having 18 times the amount of sex hormones a woman has. Exploration and adventure. There are dangers for women in pursuit of it, like reputational damage, drama, and STIs. So that makes it adventurous. Also, more sexual variety allows her to find out more about her own sexual abilities. This can serve a functional purpose for her because gaining experience in the act is something she can use later to impress a more quality mate. Hypergamy. Perhaps the most attacked reason in the Red Pill Consortium, some women will have sex to solidify an exercise of their hypergamous desires. The most succinct way to define hypergamy is that it is the female version of FOMO, fear of missing out. Specifically, in this case, the fear is of missing out on the best partner she could possibly have for herself, the one that would inspire the most jealousy from her girlfriends. Some black pill adherents believe hypergamy is nothing more than gold digging, a form of legalized prostitution, not where poor women sell their bodies to survive, but the strategic use of feminine beauty practiced by women like Melania Trump and Selma Hayek. One look at them and one look at their husbands is enough to tell you that they're only in the marriage for the money. With the return of public shame in this arena, just do a YouTube search for gold digger, this is becoming less about money, but using sex to attain tangible benefits of some sort is still a motive. One study among undergraduates at an elite Midwestern institution found an astonishing 9% of women had initiated a barter of sex for an item of some sort, and 82% of those women did so outside of an ongoing romantic relationship. While this is not the motive you want from her to be having sex with you, hypergamy is still something that can work out well in your favor. You want her to believe that having sex with you is a tangible benefit enough all by itself, and that her hypergamous mind compels her to pursue it with you. Ego boost. Enhancing or gauging their sexual market value in terms of body image and lust elicitation from males is another motive. Female self-esteem is associated with their sexual market value, since the male approval preference goes more often for youthful and fertile women. Not surprisingly, the perception she has of her sexual market value is positively correlated with her amount of sexual activity. This provides a positive feedback loop for sexually active women. The more they have sex, the sexier they feel, and a negative feedback loop for inactive women, who have less of it and feel less attractive because. Worldwide spread negativity and impossible beauty standards further enforce this motive. Only 5% of women have the genetic ability to be a runway model. Now, most guys are probably not into runway models, since they're often far too skinny, but even the baseline beauty standards are difficult for women to attain and maintain as obesity becomes more common. Body positivity movements push for acceptance of unhealthy lifestyles, and pornography creates unrealistic expectations of what women should be like. Therefore, when a woman gets sexual attention from a man, it provides a breath of fresh validation to her. Sometimes, male attention is all that's needed to fill her sails. The more attractive she is, the more that attention by itself will suffice. But the less attractive she is, the more of an ego boost she will receive from full-blown sex. With all these reasons that compel women to have sex, they are still the ones more likely to object to it. But the reasons that overcome their objections, the best, are arousal, physical gratification, emotional connection, competition anxiety, and hypergamy. Arousal and an emotional connection are completely in your control. The last two are manipulated more by her available sexual market. But even better news is that arousal and emotional connection are far more powerful than any of the other reasons, and any guy can get better at these two things.
Thank you for listening to this free sample of the book, The Road to Wrinkled Bedsheets by Cairo Copeland. If you enjoyed it and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/bedsheets. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/bedsheets.